Hello everyone, I'm Emily.
And I'm Scar.
And welcome back to another episode of the Cottage Horse Podcast, where we get whimsical, wild, and whatever else every other Wednesday. We have an exciting episode for you today, so we hope you enjoy.
We're taking a vow of silence. I'm kidding. We're not taking a vow of silence, but we could be.
Could be. But no, instead, welcome to yet another Until Dawn Yap session.
Yeah. If you got the reference, congratulations to you. If you didn't, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to listen to the rest of the episode. It's not allowed, so... No, I'm kidding.
Bye.
Obviously, you can...
No, please stay.
Everyone's gone. No, I'm kidding.
To our two listeners.
You're allowed to be here. You're allowed to be here. Yeah, we're talking about Until Dawn. And
Specifically, we're going to be getting into the remake, so there will be spoilers ahead.
Yes.
For the remake. I mean, for the whole game, I guess, if you've never consumed any Until Dawn.
Which, if you haven't, what are you doing?
Honestly, why are you?
Well, that's our brand, so I don't know what you'd be doing, but yeah, we are going to be discussing it. We made notes. We have both fully completed it, so all achievements. So we do kind of know what we're talking about. Not only are we passionate, but we have many an hour into it.
I've played like 3.5 times at this point.
Yeah, I played like 3 times. Like fully.
I say 3.5 because in one of my playthroughs I like jumped back in at like chapter 4 and then went to the end.
Yeah.
So 3.5 I would say.
Yeah, I didn't check how many hours I put into it, but a decent amount. Not that we're trying to flex, but we did get the little trophy that says you got them all, and I was like,
mine didn't trigger at first though, when I was like, because like it popped up when I was playing, and then when I was looking at my Steam achievements, it like wasn't there, and I was like, I was like Googling, and they were like, go look at the like clue page for like 5 to 10 seconds each. Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, mine didn't ping straight away, and I was like, I am stressed, and then I was like, oh, I just have to like pass this cutscene, and it triggers it, and I was like, okay.
No, I had fully finished, and it's still just
really
like, yeah.
I think sometimes it just doesn't register like a few things, and I was like, bruh.
Yeah. Also, I did just check how long I've played. 9.6 hours.
Oh, damn.
Which also feels small.
It doesn't feel like a lot, but...
No.
But then the game is like 8 hours long, so... About 8 hours long.
That's true.
Interesting. Well, do you want to start from the prologue and go through? Because obviously that's how I wrote my notes, chronologically.
Same, I know, I literally have...
As opposed to... Yeah. I also have, like... Yeah. Okay. If you're not watching the video, we haven't seen it, but we're scrolling through our notes. I also have a bunch of, like... It's also funny because when we get further... Like, you see, like, it's quite, like, at the start, I'm like, oh, these are quite, like, fairly comprehensive. Like, you know, I'm writing some good things. And then we get to this point, and it's just, like... What is this? One word, just all in capitals, one word. And then I have a few bonus bits and pieces when I was replaying to get achievements that I like added in because I was like, ooh. So
yeah, I have notes that like I do understand what they mean, but also like out of context make.
Yeah, I have a few that are quite funny, like out of context notes
that just says I'm gonna vomit.
Wait, what? I have some really.
I genuinely want to die right now. I don't want to do this anymore.
I just have one that says, yo, fuck these mines.
Honestly, though.
In all caps.
I will say, it was so funny, like, my first playthrough versus my last one that I did, because I obviously know the game, but, like, forgot that Mike can't die until the cabin.
It's so stressful,
so, like,
though.
In the beginning, I was so stressed. I was like, that's what most of those notes were about. I was like, I hate it here. I want to be gone. Please let me leave. Like, this is terrible. And then by the last one, I'm just, like, literally like, can we go any faster?
Yeah, the beats, when you start getting into the beats, you're like, yes. Yeah, I just wrote, there's one, I just wrote dad, and I realized it actually has relevance. I was like, why did I just write the word dad? Like, what was I talking about? Okay, fine.
Okay.
I also put, okay, let's go. I was supposed to be here for ages.
Okay. First off.
The prologue, stunning.
Like, I love what they did.
Yeah.
I know some people were not a fan. And, like, to some degree, I understand what people were getting at, because like some people take issue with the fact that like it seems Emily played more of a part in the prank this time versus last time. It seemed to be more of like Jess coordinating the whole thing. But like I feel like no matter which way you swing it, like they were all participating. They were all there. They all chose to do this.
Yeah, I think it honestly it was more just to have more friction between people. I think because there is a little bit of like she's quite bitchy, for the lack of a better word, which, you know, we love to see it. But I think there had to be a little bit more, maybe like, I don't know, tension built up there. And it definitely is when she is more of a stronger participant. Obviously, I think people would probably a lot of people would argue that Jess is probably the main blame. Like they all have blame, like you were saying. But like she is definitely the leading force. But yeah, they're all guilty little weirdos.
Yeah.
But the title screen as well. Oh yeah, except for Chris who's sleeping, obviously. But we'll get into that because I have a few notes from later on based on dialogue that was said, and it's really interesting to me. And I feel like I have a lot to like unpack with that. I wonder if there's more to it, and I want to see that out. But yeah, the prologue, I love the fact that we get more time with Beth. I think that's absolutely the right choice. I think when we did our episode kind of talking about what we want, it was one of the first things I said was like, I want more of that, whatever that looks like. I was like, I want more preamble, and we got that. They delivered, and it was so cute. We got like more twin time, more like sibling time, and I was just like, eee!
And the whole like montage now between like Hannah getting ready and them setting up for the prank, God, it was so iconic. It was so
chills,
good.
Chills. What a song choice as well. Like, genuinely, the most amazing song choice. And before we just get into that, I want to say, like, one of the collectibles that you can get is like a camera, and it has like photos on, and like they are so cute. Like the photos you can find. I was like, I just love all this like subtle additions you can add that still add so much to the story. Where it's like just from storytelling, you're like, oh, you can see like actually how well knit this friend group is. Just from like those things. And I was just like,
I will say I saw someone point out, and this is kind of sad, but you know, initially it's really funny because you see Chris and they drew all over his face, right? And then you have to think about the fact that that's what he looked like when he found out that his best friend's sisters were missing.
No, that's awful. That's
like he's trying to talk to the police while he has all this shit drawn on his face. He's probably crying. It's probably smearing a little bit. Like,
and it seems like he was quite close with them as well, like based on like the pictures and stuff, and like based on how Beth interacts with like Chris on the sofa as well. Oh, that actually like that's ruined my day.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll manage.
But yeah, I also was like, oh,
that's really sad. Yeah, I think there's definitely more like it was already like a very like emotionally heavy game anyway. Like when you get into it, but like I think definitely that's elevated with the extra bits and pieces they've put in. It definitely feels like it has more weight to it because you just feel like you kind of understand everyone a bit better. But yeah, that montage was absolutely phenomenal. Like genuinely amazing. Like I was shook.
Yeah, and like here's the thing. Listen, do I love "Oh Death" the song? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that slaps.
Do I think the new title sequence was impeccable? Yeah. It was genuinely so good.
What made me like absolutely think like that is like one of the best intro sequences to a game ever was when they like fall off that cliff, whether like you drop or you like let go. It's the going in for the kill as they fall, like the silent fade out of it. I was like, they ate.
It was cinematic as hell.
It was like going in for, and I was like, I was screaming. I was feral.
Also, when you're initially playing as Beth and you're like trying to find Hannah, and you now come up to that like other little like building thing in the fire.
I know.
I thought I was gonna die. I was like, can we die I love that now? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I love that we kind of got more like, I know we see the flamethrower literally in the flamethrower guy literally in the prologue, but I kind of get I like that we get more seeds of him, to be fair. Like he's actually lurking a lot more, which is quite nice. But yeah, I mean, phenomenal. And like, bro, jump scares off the bat with like the freaking birds. I was like, bro, like leave me alone. I was like, leave me alone, please. I was like, what have I wrote here? Okay, there was in the prologue. So Jordan Fisher's face model has slightly been changed. Mm-hmm. Well, him, like Matt's face model, I should say. And there was a bit in the camcorder where I was just like, I didn't realize they had changed it, but they have definitely made him look a little bit younger, which I think makes sense because he did look a little bit janky in the original. Mm-hmm. But then I just wrote a note and I was like, why does JF? And I was like, who the fuck is JF? And I was like, Jordan Fisher. He just looked a little bit like weird. And then as soon as it was out the camcorder footage, it was fine. But there was just something about his face. I was like, he looks Uncanny Valley. Like a little bit. I was like, bestie.
Do I think the updated graphics look phenomenal? Yes. Do I think everyone looked great? Yes. Was it still a little Uncanny Valley for everyone?
You always get that. Yeah. It's the same with, like, when you think of all games like that, like even things like Detroit Become Human, there is a level where you can only get so realistic before it feels odd. And some face models and some people look a lot better than others. Like some of them I'm like, this feels like this is a human being, like this is, and then there's some, and it's like there's something not quite right, like a little bit off. Like, I know people were mentioning Jess's shoulders, which made me laugh. I was like, she has a bit of a wonky posture. But it's like, sometimes it just doesn't quite translate. And it's like, it's whatever. It doesn't take away from it, so I literally don't care. So, But I was like, what? I was like, why have I thought I was like, who the heck is JF? I was like, what? Also, Dr. Hill looks so scary.
Oh my god, he terrifies me already. And like, with the new graphics, especially when he would get like close to you, and I'm just like, sir, this is a safe space.
Oh. It's so scary. I just wrote, ooh, why does he look like that? Just kidding, love you, babe. And we got a little bit more questions as well. We got a little bit more time with Mr. Dr. Hill as well.
Yeah.
He's hanging out. I love that his office has also had a bit of a remodel. Get that psychiatrist money, queen. His choice in decorating is a little bit weird, but like, we love to see it. It's amazing. And then the intro that we get as well, 10 out of 10 with all of the like the title cards and stuff with all the people's names, and I was like, the budget was budgeting here. Like,
well, and now
such small quality of lives, but brilliant choices.
The traits changing.
Yeah, I know.
What?
There's like, I have to give so much credit where it's due, because I think it's so hard to go in and remaster a game, which I think a lot of people, like, you know, we hold it very dearly to our heart. Like, it's so hard to take a game and make it better, like make it better to the point where it's like this is the version I will play from now on, you know, because I know a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, I like the remake, but I'll go back to the original, which is absolutely valid. Like, you have every reason to do that, but like, I'm like, no, this is actually, you've nailed it. You've given me everything I wanted and actually more. So I'm very happy.
One thing, because this note just caught my eye, because if I have to give a criticism, it's gonna be this. I wrote, why does the cable car sound like an old school video game?
Does it have like Chris weird audio?
Yes, it happened a couple times throughout. When Chris and Sam are in the cable car going up, I get that it's meant to be like the cable car like moving and like creaking, but it sounds like an old school video game because it's like these weird like pew pew noises. It happens
I do know what you mean, yeah.
When the radio tower falls.
Yeah.
And I'm like in the mines, like getting ready to like escape and all that. It happens again there, and I'm like, this sound effect is not doing what you need it to do, and I'm very confused by it.
Yeah, I think it's the same in the like original. So I imagine they probably just
is that okay?
Things.
That's fair.
I want to say I definitely think the radio tower one is, because that's always been a weird sound effect. I'm like, I don't think this is the sound that this would make.
That's fair.
But then I'm like, I don't actually know what the sound it would make would be, so I don't know. But yeah, the cable car one is. But you know what? I said it in our episode before. I was like, the cable car always has looked like shit. And you know what? They listened to me and they said, the cable car ain't gonna look like shit anymore, bestie. I was like, why does that cable car look like it has 1 pixel? And it now definitely has more than 1 pixel.
Yes.
Thank you for that. And all the backgrounds look stunning. Like, the background visuals.
Oh, yeah.
They did not need to go that hard. Like, they did not need to put that much definition into the trees, but they did. And I was shook. I literally spent so many minutes just walking around in the snow, watching my footprints and just like staring at the trees.
Speaking of the snow, if you watched our playthrough of the original game, you will remember that I critiqued when Jess is laying in the snow and she stands up. There's no snow on her back. And it drives me insane. But in the remake, she has snow on her back.
She has the snow on her back.
So excited.
Yeah, I wrote that down in my notes as well. I was like, oh my god, there's snow on her. Yeah. it's such a simple detail. It is because that's the thing. Like, but we mentioned again and again and again. Like the game was already like pretty much like perfect in my eyes. Like a few minor bits in here and there, but like, you know, I had pretty much no complaints. The fact that they've managed to impress us like this much, I'm speaking on behalf of both of us, is crazy. Like, it's a testament to how well they know their audience. Like, it's the small things that make it so much better. And it's like, it's so silly, but I love it.
Now, I have a question for you, because I learned something brand new about this game the other day.
Which is?
The chapter titles can change.
Yep, depending on your Dr. Hill sessions. Yeah.
Not just your Dr. Hill sessions.
So is it not that anymore? Or is it changed to
other
stuff? No, it is.
Part of it is that, and part of it is also decisions that you make. So I think it's like 5 or 6 changes depending on if you save Jess or not.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Changes depending on if you shoot Ashley or not.
Yeah, I knew that like you can impact the type. Yeah, I knew you could impact because you can get Memento Mori or Friendship as your chapter 1, depending on if you say the postcard makes you happy or it makes you sad. And I don't know why anyone would say it makes them happy, so I feel like everyone gets Memento Mori. But yeah, super neat detail. It's I love that. Yeah, it makes it a little bit more like personal.
It does. It's so funny.
It is brilliant. Yeah, and also the character intro cards, Chef's Kiss, like. Sam was already stunning, and now she's even more stunning in HD, where I can see every speck on her face.
Yes. Also, I love that they changed Emily to now be Matt's girlfriend instead of Mike's ex-girlfriend.
Yes, that's true. I think as well, like that definitely changes the dynamics as well, because I think there's just more. There's more to it, which is nice. Yeah. Again, the small things, but it matters. And we also have the introduction of the hunger totem as well, and when we find out that its color is green, which I think is an interesting choice. I have no other analysis on that, but I wrote down interesting that the hunger totem is green, because when you see the little like plaque thing where it shows you more, obviously it's covered by the snow, which I do love that it is covered by the snow, so you don't see it, but you can see that it's green. But yeah, I was like, interesting.
Speaking of the totems, listen, do I like the new little rotate thing? Do I think it's cool? Yes. Will I forever miss the weird fucking arm twist?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the totems, and again, small things that make the difference. I love how heavy the totems are. They have to pick them up with 2 hands. I think it's only Mike who really picks it up with 1 hand. Otherwise, they all pick them up with 2 hands to turn them. Such a cool detail. A cool detail.
A slight thing. I hate that the totems are found out of order.
Yeah, I know.
Because when you are trying to find all of them, it's really stressful when all of a sudden you find Lost 4 and Lost 2 is still missing, and you're like, fuck, did I miss it? No, you just find it like 6 chapters later. And I think it's partially because they moved some around.
Yeah.
But it didn't change the order. I think
I think they're also numbered based on the map. So like on like from where you start. So like there's one, like for example, one of them is like 2, and you actually find it in chapter 10, but it's number 2, but that's because it's so close to the lodge. So I think it's like, so it's a little bit wonky. Yeah, I do wish it was numbered in the order that you get them, but whatever, I guess. But yeah,
not a big deal. When I was trying to do my completion run,
I know,
I was like,
I was stressed. I remember when I was doing my first playthrough, I was like, how have I already missed a totem? Like, I've barely been anywhere.
Yes.
No, I have not missed anything. But yeah, also I love that we got a little bit of extra area by the cable car, and there was cars. I love that, and I love the little Chris and Josh heart on the truck. Part of me is like,
who do you think wrote it?
I kind of love the idea that Emily wrote it to take the piss, and that she is a climbing class stan. I think that's really funny.
Yes, I like that too.
Part of me is like, I think it'd be nice if it was Chris doing it on Josh's car, but you know, I don't know. I think it's very sweet, whoever it was, but given that Emily and Matt's car is like next door, I feel like she did it.
Yes.
But then it's funny because it seems like they definitely arrived first. So it means that Chris probably saw it and didn't erase it, which is also quite funny if she's the one to do it. So yeah. Because it looks like it's definitely a man hand. I say man hand. There's no such thing as a man hand, but it's definitely a big hand. So I like to think that it was Matt. Piers, Hannah to take the piss. And he's like, I don't want to be involved in this. Or maybe it was just the heart and Chris piss Hannah. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll never know.
Guess we'll never know.
But I do, it's all those small little things. I'm just like, oh, the way I ship know.
Almost every character in this game.
Literally. Each other. It's just because it's just good vibes, you know? There's just like such potential for like everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, one of my notes here, I put Chris and Josh in a heart, and then I have a few other things like snow falling off trees, and then I said the cable car doesn't look like ass anymore. Very, very pleased by that revelation. But yeah, and then boom butterfly effect, of course. Absolute statement.
Always.
It's the way that when I was playing through, I was like, all the cutscenes, I like obviously know all the dialogue, and I was there like mouthing along. I was like, this is so embarrassing.
Here to our listeners, a spoiler for a future episode we're going to do. We are actually going to be tier ranking the dialogue, the iconic dialogue. Lines.
Iconic dialogue. Yeah, we can't do every dialogue line.
No.
Yeah, but the big moments.
The big ones.
I mean, I think all of them are probably going to, well, like 90% of them are going to be from Mike, but we'll do some digging.
Literally, I have one down way later in my notes that is, it might be my favorite line. It's so hard because there's so many.
He has so many good lines. And the thing is like, he just says them like kind of like, some of them I'm like, okay, this warrants a response. But sometimes he just says it out of pocket. I'm like
my mug here that says, Jesus hot sauce Christmas cake. No one would put those words together. No one says that. He did, though.
It's because he's a himbo. And I love that.
Yes.
Only the class president would put those words together. And I stand by that.
Yes.
But yeah, also love all the little musical additions we got in, because before there was like bass sound, but like now there's actually like a little bit more like music injection in there, which is quite nice, makes it more dynamic. And also Mr. Flamethrower Man, when you come out the cable car, you can see him in the cable car, and I was like, ooh, he's lurking, spooky.
Yes, yes,
he's there. I also want to know, and this is such a small thing, but it's like one of those things where like, for me this matters, and it's not a criticism at all, it's just for me in my lore head. You know, like when you're a Sam and you approach the gate, and like Chris has written on the back of his email that he's printed out, I'm like, does he carry a pen? And I'm like, he must carry a pencil case in his bag, right? Because otherwise what did he use to write on the back of it? And then I'm like, oh, he's such a nerd carrying a pen around.
Okay, first off, I always have a pen on me.
No, so do I. So do I. No, but imagine a little pencil case with a little sharpener.
You know what gets me about that scene? She takes the note down. Like, does she know that she's the last one to arrive? Because, like, otherwise she's just, like, she takes the note. No one else knows it's locked.
I think she must be the last person to get the bus, because her and Chris get the bus, and then it seems like Emily and Matt drive, and then we don't know how Jess and Mike got there, but presumably they were up.
But, like, that's what, like, does she know for sure that nobody else is coming?
Maybe she didn't want them to come. She was like, fuck off. So, maybe. I don't know. True, though. True. Sam does a lot of things, and I'm like, you have really not... There's a bit later on, I think it's in like chapter 9 or 10, and I'm like, this is such a weird thing to say when your friends are in potential peril.
No, we talked about this a little bit. Depending on who you save and who you don't, when you get to a certain part as Sam, you know, she goes on by herself regardless of who you save and who you don't. But what gets me is I had a part where it was just Sam and Ashley. And Ashley, like, she's like, oh, catch up, like, shut the thing, whatever. And I got Ashley killed off there because I was doing a bit of an asshole run, and I was killing everybody. But, like, Sam never acknowledges that she never sees Ashley again.
Well, so actually she does, but what she says is really odd. So when she meets up with Mike again outside the house and they go back inside the lodge, when they go back down the stairs, they have a conversation together, and they say, oh, we got to make sure anyone's in the basement. And then they say, if anyone's left. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? What do you mean?
To be fair, at this point they have seen the creatures.
No, I know, but like you are basically saying like, we're living because we're like Chads, but they don't fucking stand a chance, which I guess isn't wrong. But Jesus Christ, yeah, I do agree. There is Sam acknowledges things a little bit too late. It's like when she in that scene again. We're skipping slightly ahead, but in that scene when she meets up with Mike, and then she waits until the door is closed, and then she goes, what happens to Josh? I'm like, bitch, that would have been the first thing out of my mouth. What do you mean, what happens to Josh after you shut the door?
Yeah.
I would have been
like, thing out of your mouth
where's the other man? I'm like, where's the other guy that I told you to bring back? What do you mean?
He's not in his fucking pocket. Like, he's not just...
Is he up there and you need to go get like a bandage? Like, what is the situation occurring, Mr. Guy?
Right.
But no. Anyway, whatever. I kind of love that she's unbothered. She is truly an unbothered queen, and I love her.
Yes.
Yeah. Chapter 2. I don't know if you did this. I did this by accident, and then I found it really funny and was doing it with all the characters. But if you idle with the characters for long enough, they do little idle animations, and Chris is rubbing his shoulders in his jacket. Yes. Sam does a little jog on the spot. Very cute, very sweet. I love how each of them had their own one. That made me very happy. I love that they just kind of try and warm themselves up. I thought that was so cute. I was like, oh. Also, I wrote this down and I stand by it, and it's a little bit weird and it's very creepy to say, but the hairs on Josh's arm are crazy. Like, they looked so realistic and crazy good. I was a bit like perturbed. I was like, why does he like his arms look that real?
Did not notice this.
It's because when he folds when he's like this in front of the door, and I was just like, obviously just like taking in the model as one does, and I was like, oh, the hairs on his arm go crazy.
Speaking of hair, though, can we take a moment to appreciate Jordan Fisher's? What they did to Matt's hair in this game, oh my god, it looks so good.
He looks so good. He looks so, like, don't get me wrong,
he's
like,
always attractive.
He looked good in the original. Slightly janky, but a few of them look slightly janky, and it's just the way that it was. It came out in 2015. Like, who gives a shit? I certainly don't. But yeah, now I'm like, like, jeez.
Honestly,
too good.
Matt is one of my favorite characters, especially when you get to play him mean.
I know, because he's an asshole.
He is. Listen,
he's rude.
I know there's a whole debate of like Emily being a bitch and some people being like she's not a bitch. She is a bitch, and that's okay.
Yeah.
She owns being a bitch. But my favorite thing is letting Matt be an asshole to her, because it is so great. Because honestly, do I think they're a healthy relationship? Not really. Do I think they match each other's energy when you let Matt be mean to her? Yes.
They do match each other's energy, even if you don't. There are definitely moments where I'm like, you can actually see that they do care about each other. It's a weird way, and I think honestly, we do see instances where like you can clearly see that Matt isn't a pushover, and I think sometimes people interpret him that way. I think actually they've done him a little bit more justice, and he doesn't feel that way too much anymore.
Yes,
I think honestly, Emily, probably like a lot of people who just has like she has beef with Jess, and like that just brings out the worst in her. And honestly, valid. Like, sometimes we get like that, and she lets it bother her, as does Jess. It happens, it's whatever. And I think the situation, not that I'm trying to like defend her, but definitely that does not play into it, because there are moments when they're just like, when it's just the two of them, I'm just like, this is so cute. Like, we actually get to see their relationship and like them flourish. And then as soon as Jess and Mike are there, they're like stupid.
No, I like, love that we got the DLC though, because I feel like the DLC really like highlighted a lot of
that's what I mean. It's just like small moments. I'm just like, I just like that we got that a little bit more like character, like nurturing. I also wrote here, me taking 7 years to explore the lodge as Chris. I literally was walking around. I was going through every room. They were probably they were dead. They were dead outside by the time I got there. They had hypothermia. They did not stand a chance. I was there for so long.
Yes. Same. I was, and then again as Sam, when Sam's in the towel.
Yeah.
I'm still scouring.
I was there for
every inch.
I was there for so long. I also so in the bathroom, sounds really odd. When you're in the bathroom, that Sam eventually goes in to have a bath. I was like trying to see if the cameras were already set up. They weren't, and I was disappointed. But I was trying to have a look. They weren't set up. But I was being nosy.
No, they must have been.
No, I couldn't see them. I was like spinning around, unless they're hidden behind the door and you can't see them when you come in as Chris. You can't spot them. I was literally doing like 360s around the room. But that's what I assumed. They must be.
Because
but they're not
one of them.
Yeah, they're not an in-game asset, so I don't know where they're placed. But I couldn't spot them. Unless I'm being stupid. And if someone spotted them, please let me know. Maybe I didn't catch them, but I did do a little cheeky spin trying to find. Oh yeah, you're right. Because you do see it on the monitor, don't you? Yeah. Anyway, I had a look. Couldn't find them. Not that big of an issue. I literally don't give a shit. But
no, I
was spinning around. So. I was spinning around like a little loon, and there was something there.
Got me spinning like a ballerina.
The way everyone is stood there whilst they're fighting, and I put the little man emoji. It's so awkward.
Dude, I forgot how much Mike and Matt could escalate. I did not realize that they would actually throw hands.
Yeah, they can fight. They can fight.
Which then you don't get the standoff between Em and Jess, which is very sad.
Yeah. But see, I don't know. I don't even know what I did on my first time. But anyway, I had them. I had the girlie. Yeah, I said the girls are fighting, and then I said, Matt, defend your girl. So that's my notes for that. So I don't know I can't remember what I did, but it was funny. It was good vibes. And then there was, again, more jump scares, just hanging out in the woods. I'm like, there weren't jump scares here before. And then there are.
Okay.
Like, stop it.
Listen, I know Jess and Mike don't want to be in the lodge with Matt and Emily, but I would not be in the woods with those noises. The second I heard something even slightly spooky, I'd be hauling my ass back to the lodge.
They had 2 screeches that I personally think you would not be able to identify.
Screams.
Yeah, there are two where I'm like, you could not identify this. There's one, there's a bird noise, there's like a few crows, and there's like a deer, like a deer adjacent thing. There are two noises that are definitely unidentifiable. I'm tapping out. As soon as I hear one of those, I'm like, I'm gone. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to find out. I don't want to know.
I would have hauled ass back to the main lodge so fucking fast if I was them. Yeah. What are you doing?
Me too. Especially when they... I'm sorry, right? The funny part about that is when there's the blockage in the pathway, and they decide, let's not turn back. We're going to jump into a fucking mine shaft that you don't know where it comes out as well. There's no indication on the wall of the map that it's going to loop back round to where you need to be. You've just jumped into a mine for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would have gone home.
Yeah.
I'd be like, sorry, Josh, the path is blocked, and he would have been like, oh, what shame. Like,
here's the thing: that building is big enough that they could each have little separate areas and be fine.
Definitely. Yeah, easy peasy.
Like, I get that didn't work for Josh's little plot that he wanted to pull, but still.
Yeah, and again, I have thoughts on that as well, on the separation. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, it's interesting that he opts for them to go elsewhere when you think that Jess and Mike potentially shoulder a lot of the blame, and actually they don't actually see a lot of the pranks go down because they're MIA. Interesting.
It makes me wonder if, like, I know Josh reveals himself, but like, was there ever supposed to be more? Because obviously it gets derailed by the other events that are happening. So I'm curious that, like, there has to be more, because I agree, like, there's no way he's just letting Jess and Mike get off.
Let me. I have thoughts on this, and I think I've seen a few people talk about this, and it's something that was in the original as well. And I think a lot of people maybe didn't. I don't know. But in the scene when they reach the cabin and whatever, and then they are disturbed by Jess's phone being thrown through the window. Some people assume this is the creature throwing it through the window. But what if it's Josh throwing it through the window? Like, what if that's part of his prank? Like, to unsettle them? Like, because I'm like, I'm not saying that the creature can't do that, because the creature can do, like, whack-ass shit, so I'm not saying it's not intelligent enough, because it certainly is, but I'm like, would it not make more sense for it to be Josh?
Yeah,
or
that's fair.
Are we assuming he didn't follow them out there? Like, I don't know, but I'm like, because that's a far way to track and not be noticed. But then I'm like, to be fair, there was quite a big gap of him of them being in, like, I don't know.
I think it's hard because, like, things are happening at the same time, but we're playing them separately. But, like,
I'd have to look at the timings.
You're going with Josh and Sam to the basement to do the water heater and stuff. I don't know if, again, like, we'd have to look at the full timeline, but I'd have to look at the times. That was such a far distance. Would he have had enough time?
Yeah, that's true.
After the water heater.
Because it was the creature then. Because I just think if that's Josh, like, I think regardless if it's Josh or not, I think there was more to it. I think purposely separating Mike and Jess was a full plan to have them front the worst of it. Ultimately didn't happen because Jess gets kidnapped, they leave the cabin. I ultimately think that was the plan, but whatever. Because I think Josh's plan was probably set up the other lot in the house,
and
then kind of go back for them last, kind of disturb them, freak them out, all in a panic state. I don't know. I think I need to go for. I should have gone through his clues. I should have gone through the clue lines beforehand and seen what there was, because I feel like there must be some. But it's definitely very interesting.
In that vein, then, do you think Josh took Emily's bag to get her out of the house too? Like, do you think that was part of his plan? Because otherwise, they left of their own accord.
No. So she left the bag in the car. It's the bag that's in the car that you can look at when you're Sam at the cable car station. So that wasn't planned, which makes it even more interesting then.
Yeah,
because that was an opportunity. That was an opportunity strikes.
Huh? Which then makes me wonder, like, so he does what he does to Chris and Ashley to push them together. He foreshadows that, not even really foreshadows. He says he's going to do that.
I don't think there was much. I think genuinely his plan. I imagine his plan was genuinely just like we see when you go around the house, is just to rig the house up a bit, have a bit of a weird chase sequence, and things went a bit tits up because. Things went tits up. Like, I think, like you said, Chris and Ash was to put them together. And it also eliminates Josh out the picture early on, because he can then, because they can then say he's dead, causes a panic state. Doesn't anticipate Emily and Matt going off, but I guess it leaves a window of opportunity for him, because he eagerly helps Sam get in the bath. He takes those opportunities when he can to try and separate people. He's like, yes, go to this cabin, go away from here. So that was clearly a plan. I wonder what else we would have seen in the house had everyone else stayed. Because obviously he had like doors shutting and stuff, and there's stuff in the basement. Was the stuff in the basement meant to be for Sam? Like, there was a lot of intricate details planned out here, and I wonder who was meant to be the participants for a lot of them, because we don't see.
Like, if you think about it, like, if Emily and Matt didn't go off, what was he gonna do? Because like there's no way he could have all of them, because he had to get Chris and Ashley separated in order to get Ashley tied up and make Chris make the decision.
Unless. I'm trying to think. No, because Josh is there first, isn't he? Because when we get to the cabin, he is there. So I'm just trying to think, like, did they arrive, like, when Matt and Emily arrive at the cable car in their car, was Josh there waiting for them because the door's locked? So did he kind of distract them so she left the bag? Like, was there some, like, I don't, because also you got to remember, like, he sabotages the cable car stations as well, so he has a preemptive plan to know that people are going to go back to the cable car station. So there's definitely an element of he's getting them in a panic state to try and flee and then can't. So yeah, I don't know, I think there's definitely maybe a few more out there, but it's definitely interesting the way that things didn't pan out, because you can see it, like, he has visible confusion, like, regarding Jess and stuff. He's like, wait, what? Like, because he's like, that shouldn't have actually happened. There's a lot of confusion. A lot of things were taken out of his control, which is interesting. Also, again, why is Dr. Hill's pen so big?
Always.
It's unnecessarily huge. Not that I have any issues with that, but it's weird. So that's it. I also only have one note in chapter 3, and it's just the psycho looks so good. That was my only note. Apparently, I did not have any
multiple notes.
I apparently have no other thoughts and feelings in chapter 3 apart from that.
I will real quick go through my notes. The hunger totem. OMG. God, the shit with Mike and Jess in the woods is so scary, even though I know exactly what's happening. Jess keeps yelling about the fire, but doesn't understand I must look for clues. Yes. I got Jess naked. And then this one, which I would like to break down more later. It's honestly fascinating how human Hannah still is. Like, she's very calculating for a monster, and I wonder if they're all like that. Also, did you notice that Hannah is wearing panties?
No, she is. That's I guess they all have bottoms on, don't they, to be fair? Like, when you think about it, a lot, because all the miners have, like, their pants still on. I guess they can't just have their junk out.
Yeah, Hannah is wearing I noticed it.
That's so funny. I think in, like,
my third playthrough.
I did not
my second
see that
one
at all.
I didn't notice it until way later, like the cabin scene, like chapter 10. But I actually saw a TikTok about this because someone did like a boundary break type thing with the part where Jess is getting pulled through the window, and pointed out that Hannah is wearing panties. And I was like, I did already see that, and I even thought to myself, I was like, is that underwear?
So funny. I did not. That's so funny that I just never saw it as well. That is so.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense though. Yeah, that's an interesting point of what we were talking about earlier with, like, who threw the phone through the window, because I think there definitely is an element, like, she is definitely very there is definitely an element of high intellect there, and I wonder if it degrades more the longer they're alive, because I definitely feel like there's an element with the mind, like, I mean, they are still very, like, clever. I think, like, not I think they are very clever, but I could see there potentially being a state of where the longer they live in that state for, because she's obviously still, like, I guess she's fully transformed but still within the infancy, because it's only been like a year, so
less than technically that she's been.
So that's true. So I wonder if there's still like, she probably is more her than, well, there is, we know she has recognition, she has some sort of, like, memory recollection right. At least. Yeah,
I'm curious. I do agree with you. I think it's part of it, like, it's a time thing and, like, a degradation thing, but I also wonder, she has the strongest spirit as well, so that's, like, true. Yes, because because if you're unaware, in the events of the past, on the mountain when Beth and Hannah fall, the creature that was chasing them was it has a name, and I don't know what the name is, so apologies. P2 or something like that.
Yes, apologies.
I probably butchered that, so I apologize.
And it's the strongest spirit, and the flamethrower guy killed it on that mountain because obviously it was going to attack him as it was chasing the twins.
It was also a revenge thing because it killed his father.
Yeah, that's true, yes. And it released its spirit, and therefore, because its spirit was hanging out as soon as Hannah decided to commit some sibling cannibalism, it entered her body. So yeah, she's that is true.
Youngest
that is true.
With the strongest spirit. So
yes,
I wonder how much each of those factors plays into, because like a lot of the other ones, yes, they are clever, but for a lot of it, they're just ready to like kill on sight.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas Hannah
she's a lot more she's plans
decisions. Yeah,
she does make. Yeah, she plans. Yeah, I definitely think there is. Yeah, there's definitely full awareness there, or not full awareness, but that there's definitely high levels of cognitive ability there. I think we get a note on that, don't we? Like the way that their brains change, but then I guess again that's not in reference to like that spirit, but it is in the labs that you can find later on in the sanatorium with the guy that's like chained up. There's like something on that, but I can't remember what exactly it said, but there's some sort of like speech is slurred and stuff, but then I think that's probably more with the teeth than anything. But yeah, interesting. It is something interesting. There's a lot of things like that where it's like, I like that the game doesn't give you everything. There is a lot to still like speculate on, which is nice.
Yeah. There's also, I have a note of, honestly, how does Jess live, like, the way she gets dragged? And there's actually, I'm kind of mad that they cut it. There is dialogue in Chapter 9 that got cut from the original game.
Really?
Between Matt and Jess. And Matt is looking at some, like, claw marks on the ground. And he's like, oh my god, like, what sadistic animal made this? And Jess is like, I did when I was getting dragged. And I'm just like, what do you mean you cut that? Like, that is insane.
Yeah, that someone did say you can see on Jess's like fingers, like you can see that they're damaged when she's like clawing through the snow. Yeah, I don't know, she lives through pure fucking will, and that is impressive, because I would want to die. If I'm in that lift when Mike comes to find me, I'm like, fucking shoot me in the head. I do not want to be living right now.
You can really tell in the like interviews, post-game interviews.
Oh my, she's fucked.
I watched them side by side. You can see how much more like depth they gave her, in the sense that like she is
her eyes, like the shell shock eyes that she has, is like terrifying. It's so scary.
Yes.
It's so scary. Yeah, Bessie really goes through it, and trauma for life, babe. Therapy sessions are going to be billed through the roof, mate. I'm asking the Washingtons for some compensation on that money, mate. Ain't no chance.
Honestly.
But no chance. Also, the Mike QTEs, there are so many of them. They're so fast, and I was so fucking stressed.
I messed up one, and wanted to vomit.
I messed up one as well, and I was so stressed. I was like, go and risky all the way. The one that
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I missed one, and then I missed another one when I took the risky route, and he fell on his ass, like he fell like on his back in, you know, when you get to that other bit of cabin bit, and I was like, she was fine, she lived, but I was pissing myself. I was like,
missed like the second one, I think, when he's like hopping across those rocks, and I was like, the other thing I was gonna say is it stresses me out, this game, where it's not just this scene, but like there's other scenes where it's like, you gotta go, you gotta save someone, you gotta power through, and like he's running and he's QTEing and he's jumping and he's diving, he's doing all these things, and then you get to where she's actually at, and he's just like fucking walking at a snail's pace. And also then you have to go find clues. There's a totem that you have to go find before you even get to Jess, and I'm like stressed, because I'm like, I know it's time based. Is it time based like just game, or just my decisions? And I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah, so it's, if anyone hasn't played and they're stressed about that, don't worry. You can take 70 hours if you wish in that little hut, and it doesn't matter, as long as you've done everything correctly. You will still, as long as you see Jess being dragged into the barn, you have saved her. You have to see the door. If the door is being shut, you are too late. As long as you get there as the door is opening, you're all good. Yeah, I was like, he takes the slowest ass walk down these stairs. I'm like, show a little bit of urgency. Like, I know I'm gonna go head down this hallway to grab a totem, but a little bit of pace, lad. Yeah, I was like,
in a similar vein to that, later on when Emily's in the mine and she's got the flare, I'm like, how long is this flare gonna last? just forever. Like, you can just stand there.
It was like some military ass flair. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, the hunger totems I wrote in here, like, they are so cool. They are so scary and they are so cool. I love them. I love that we just they build the story so well, and they get better as they go on, which is like even better.
Yes.
Yeah, and also I wrote down a few Dr. Hill quotes, because some of the stuff that he says, I'm just like, you don't really like notice what like the meaning of them until like he says that, and I'm like, oh damn. But one of the things he says in the session at the end of chapter 4, he says, when he's talking about, is it just a game to you? He says, can you really tell the difference anymore? And the way he says it is like so disgusting. I'm like, ew. Like, he is so gross. But so good. But so gross. I'm like,
yes.
Ew. Yeah. Wild. The sanatorium upgrade. Oh my god. The additions and the upgrades and the vibes to that, impeccable, but oh my god, I was shitting myself. Because I was like, this is uncharted territory and I don't know what's happening. And I'm scared and I'm stressed and I don't want to be here anymore. I want to find my wolf and I want to go home.
Real quick though, I want to jump back to chapter 4 because I want to jump back to Josh's death. Because first off, that was like the first big gore we got. Graphics got insane.
Crazy gore.
But also, like, I know Chris is stressed, but the fact that this man does not try anything. He literally just hears this little voice telling him to pick
I would have body slammed that door open, bro. That wooden door.
He should have at least tried. He didn't even try the handle.
I would have, like,
he literally was just like, okay.
Also, like, didn't like this weird like spiky chandelier thing fall off from the ceiling. I would have grabbed that and like start pummeling it. Yeah, man does not even try. But then I guess there is an element of like, if you walk away, you don't know if this person's watching. Obviously, we know that that's not the case. Could they start the machine without you? Like, I guess there's an element of like confusion. But yeah, I mean, I would have done a bit more. But
his survival skills are a little lacking, if you ask me.
Yeah, he does not have any. Actually, to be fair, he actually gets better, and that's why his arc is actually the most interesting, because he does actually, like, the way he changes post that chapter, crazy. Man is on a mission, and I respect that. Yeah, the gore that we get is crazy. You see a little bit of gore, like, in the totems as well, but yeah, that scene, crazy. And it just gets worse. I mean, not worse in quality, but worse in terms of gore.
Yes.
Also, Mike was so good in Sanatorium. I was like, bro, damn.
So,
who gave you the right
thing about the sanatorium is some of the lights seem so strategically placed, and I'm really curious about it. Like, I know it's Flamethrower Guy who put them all up, but I'm just like, this is just wanting to know more lore, kind of like you with Chris and the pen. Like, I just want to know.
I want to hang out with him more.
Yeah,
I would love Ballistic Moon. Hi, big fan. But speaking to you directly, I would love. I know we'll get onto this later. I know potentially there's things cooking, and I'm happy and I'm excited if potentially that happens. If it doesn't, I'm also pleased and happy. I'm content.
We love
you. Know what I want? Yeah, you know what I want to cook? Give me a Flamethrower Man DLC. Give me the ability to play as this man parallel to the events of the game. I would love that. I think that'd be so cool. I think because you could even have it like it doesn't even have to be like all of the events, because I know like he probably just kind of runs around for a lot of it. There isn't a lot of action there, but I would love to play as him like earlier on, like pre kind of the events building up to the twins, and then after. There's so much there, and I would just love to. I don't know, like you said, because it's all those things in the sanatorium. Like he has his wolf pack, like. I love that for him. How did he train them? Like, there's just so many questions, you know? I need to know more about him. He's so mysterious and we get so little, and it makes me sad because I'm like, he is such an MVP and he basically sacrifices himself, and it makes me so emotional, especially in the police interviews afterwards. And I'm just like, bro, he deserves so much better. He deserves so much better.
It annoys me. I know he got killed for plot, but I hate it.
It's because you can't have someone with a flamethrower.
No, I know. That end game. I know. That's what I'm saying. Speaking of which, though, like I've never been in this situation, so I can't exactly like give Chris criticism. But,
I'm looting that body.
He didn't even try and go for. Yeah, he didn't even try and grab the flamethrower.
Well, I guess he is being chased, but I'm looting that body, bestie.
You've been told that the only thing that can kill them is fire, and you don't even try to grab the flamethrower.
Yeah, I'm grabbing that. I'm grabbing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to defile a corpse, but
he doesn't need it anymore.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry. I'm also taking his coat because it looks warm. Sorry, but I'm taking all your shit. Yeah, it's, again, I guess having a flamethrower makes it 2 MVP. Small, just gaming things. It's like movie things where it's like, oh no, don't go through this door.
Speaking of movie things, this is jumping ahead to the end a little bit here. There is no way on this earth that the single pipe that broke is putting enough gas into that large ass fucking living room with like 10-foot ceilings that it is going to cause that explosion.
I mean, there is a lot of oxygen in that room. I will say that. I know nothing about fires.
Here's the thing. Okay,
it's a big explosion. I will say. I will say that it is a massive explosion.
Stove. Yeah, and there have been times that I have accidentally let the burner go instead of lighting it. It's been spilling out gas. And it doesn't even make a flame on my fucking stove when I finally go, oh shit, and light it. I just have a hard time believing.
It's because they're in Canada.
I don't think that's it.
It's Canadian
Unless it has something to do with like altitude and shit. Because they're on a mountain.
Well, I would imagine that pipe directly is from the boiler that Sam and him turned on earlier on. Like, it's connected directly. It seems like it's the main outward pipe as well. But yeah, I know the explosion is huge. I will say the explosion is huge, like a bit redonk.
I think it wouldn't make a fire.
It would make a fire.
It would be that boom.
What is also more interesting about that is what makes it what is more unrealistic in that sense is when Mike sacrifices himself in that regard, because he is so far away from the fireplace.
Yes,
the light I can be like, okay, fine, because you are tripping the whole mains. I can kind of understand that you're surging it. You are surging the power. Yeah. You know, a dramatic effect. The whole lodge burns down and the whole lodge burns down, so there's no evidence left.
Right.
Gas.
But also, when Mike does have to sacrifice himself, if you actually watch the way his body gets fucking dragged around,
oh my God,
you're telling
it's
me
awful.
that he is conscious enough and like able enough to light that
man gets his insides ripped apart. Like his stomach gets sliced open. I'd have crawled. I'm sorry, I'm crawling out there in half.
He's a rag doll. Like,
and
there's no way. There's no way
man has will. He has will. When there's a will, there's a way. Listen, at that point when I'm so close to the end, like in any other situation, I'm like, kill me. Like, if I'm injured, just kill me. Like, I don't need to be a part of this anymore. Like, I lived a good life. It's fine. I'll end it here. If I'm in that cabin and I get tossed around like that, and I'm so close to the fucking door, you bet my ass I'm dragging myself through that fucking doorway. I do not give a shit. You have to wait for me and crawl my slow ass out of that cabin before I set that place on fire.
Yes.
You are waiting by that doorway until I get out to light that switch, Sam. You ain't moving, bitch. Do not even go for it.
There's another plot that I would like to discuss. Plot hole, potentially. And listen, you could argue this 7 ways to Sunday, okay?
Okay.
But when you are Emily and you are in the mines, you discover where Hannah fell. You discover Beth's little grave. You discover Beth's head. All this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as Emily, you are able to escape. I understand Hannah fell very far. I understand Hannah broke her leg. I don't understand how Hannah didn't even make it farther into the mines.
She did to some extent, because we find some of her bits and pieces around.
I just feel like if Emily was able to escape, Hannah should have been closer to escaping.
I don't disagree, but I would say that she's definitely was unconscious for probably a minimum of a day, would wake up, find her sister dead, again, with a broken leg. Because also I'm thinking, she saw the flamethrower man, right? She saw him on the cliff. Like, they saw this man leaning over. She doesn't know if he is a malicious entity, I guess. Doesn't know if he was trying to help, I guess, realistically, but assuming by the fact that he let his hand down, I would assume. So you're probably thinking, if I stay here, someone's going to come. This man knows where we fell off this cliff. They're going to come looking.
Yes.
Like, but logically, I'm thinking, do I want to, like, after, like, but then I'm like, I think there's an element of, like, how long do you wait there for? But then also, like, she does move because we find her locket places, and then we find, she travels quite far, now that I'm thinking about it.
Not really.
Yeah, but she goes, yeah, but where the grave and the watch is found is quite a distance.
It's actually not, because
but it's through the hook places, isn't it? Like, you come through where Josh is when you find him, because the signpost is close to there.
From where you are as Emily.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying she still has. But think about it, she's taking Beth with her through all this as well. She's not leaving her behind.
Yes.
Because also you find her bed, you find her mattress that she was sleeping on as well. You find out where she was hiding out. She's thinking someone's going to come here because there's stuff down here and they know where we fell. So I'm going to sit here and wait because I don't know how to get out because places are locked. And she has no weapon. I think she could have gone further, but I think also I don't think I would have done much better.
I think I would have done better. And I think a lot of it has to happen the way it does, obviously, for the plot. So
she makes it further than me. I would have just sat there like a lemon, probably, to be honest. I don't think I would have tried.
That also does frustrate me because, again, I know it's for the plot, but, like, I know Flamethrower Dude doesn't want to get involved. But, like, you can't place an anonymous phone call to the police. Be like, hey, check this area.
Yeah, but that's fucked, mate. Who else is making that call? Who else lives on that mountain? Be for real.
They can't find him, so, like...
No, but you're just asking, like, there's an element of, like, you're asking for trouble. Also, the police department was so ass. Like, what were they doing?
Well, yes.
I mean, I'm not surprised. What's more surprising to me, right? This is more surprising to me. The Washingtons are very rich, right? We know that. We get that. Several instances of that. The fact that they did not hire, like, a fucking PI to find their lost daughters is crazy to me. You're saying you relied on the Canadian, like, Calgary Police Department, who probably have one sheriff. What were you doing? What were you doing? What was occurring here? Not enough. I can say that for sure. They missed the mark. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Jesus Christ. There's so much going on. Also, finding Beth's phone, like, that is wild. I do like there are some things that the characters pick up. There are some things they take with them. Emily takes the locket that she finds that has a picture of it. Like, I like that they take a few things. I think that's a really good touch because, like, I don't like it in video games when people, like, this is everything where it's like they find a clue and they, like, pick it up and they put it back down. I'm like, take it with you. Like, if it's that important, pick it up. Right. I do like that they pick some stuff up, the phone and the locket, and there's a few other bits, there's the photos and stuff they take as well. I'm like, good, thank you for taking evidence with you in this time of peril, because imagine how crazy you would sound if you said, hey, guess what, police, I found the body of my rotting friend, and guess what, I have her locket, and they're like, no, you didn't. And it's like, well, actually, I found her locket. But then, honestly, to be fair, I'm like, if you have her locket, that probably makes you look guilty as fuck. So I don't know if I want to disclose that, but yeah, it's wild. Also, I think I mentioned this to you when I was first playing, but in chapter 6, when you're heading to the radio tower, by the totem, there is a, like, interactable, which is new in the game. There's, like, 10 interactables I think you can find around. There is that bloody, like, boo whistle thing. That was what, remember when I said to you, did you find this other thing by the radio tower? And you were like, I don't think I did. I'm like, was it the totem? I'm like, no, you would know what it is because it's so odd. I didn't realise what I was picking up.
That.
Yeah, and when Emily blows it, I'm like, what is this?
I'm like, why are you doing that?
If you just blew a whistle into the mountains.
Why have you alerted to your location? And then it's so creepy because you do see a little creature like run by.
I didn't realise what I was doing when I picked it up, and then she just blew it without asking, and I was like, bitch, what are you doing?
I know, it's like Mike in the sanatorium when you go over to look at the hand and you don't realise how fucked you are.
Bruh. It's crazy. Or him shooting the locks, don't even get beside. Dude, why are you shooting the fucking locks? Bro,
listen.
A, save ammo, and B, do not make noise. Are you stupid?
Also, we talked about this, but, like, the fact that he shoots one, starts this giant-ass fire, and then still shoots more later. He's like, this is still a good idea.
He's stupid. Also, I wrote down, quote, not until dawn over, and I'm like, damn, name drop.
I literally, where is it? They said the thing! That's what I wrote.
Yeah. This is something that I have that's written down in regards to the prank. Do you want to say your thing first? Because I'm moving on to Chris.
This is about Chris and Ashley. Listen, this conversation where Ashley wants to talk to Chris about what happened and Chris shutting her down, we were so spot on with our series.
Yeah, for real. But also I wrote in this, it's so interesting, Chris always says we when talking about the prank when he wasn't there. He always says we. Every time they're talking about it. He says, we weren't to know. What were we going to do? And I'm like, we? You weren't there. No, and I think it's really interesting. And I think it's also interesting that Chris receives a fair amount of, I guess I know, like, there is an element of, like, he's doing it to push them two together, but he does receive quite a brunt of it. Even without those two incidents, because even going through the lodge and stuff, like, with everything that's set up. And it's so interesting that he receives quite a lot of it. And it's interesting that there's definitely a huge element of guilt that Chris has. And we don't really get to unpack it, which is a shame, but then I guess he doesn't want to talk about it, which is valid. He doesn't have to talk about it, obviously. But it's interesting that he feels that way about something that he, from what we know of, had no knowledge of. But now I'm thinking maybe he did know. Like, that's maybe, what makes it.
Could just. He's so close with the Washington, so it really could.
That's my personal reading it. That's my personal reading of it. But I've seen a few people say that he knew, or he was in on it, and he was told to distract Josh and get him drunk, and they got drunk together. It put them both out the picture.
Yeah.
I don't personally like that. I personally prefer the fact that he just feels guilty because him and Josh were being stupid and they got too drunk, and he feels guilty that they weren't awake and he does feel too close to them. I think there is full innocence, but I guess we don't know.
I don't know. I've read this like once and then never really like looked into it. So I don't know like how exactly the cards fell, but I think I read that originally Chris was going to be part of the prank, and then they decided they wanted someone with Josh. So it could also, like, I'm not saying that the writing is bad or anything, but it could also just be like,
true.
Depending on where that got sprinkled in and taken out, and where they were with the writing of it could have also impacted some of that.
I just think it's interesting because the way he talks about it is fascinating. Mm-hmm. But because then also there's a switch, because that's when you play like kind of normal, that you're allowing Ashley to feel apologetic. But if she's not remorseful, he then switches and antagonizes her and then doesn't put the blame on himself. So it's really interesting, the fact that when he's trying to soften the blow for everyone else, but actually when they're like, oh, why did she run off anyway? He's like, well, why the fuck did you do that? Like, so it's interesting the way that he can switch. Yeah. Which kind of makes me also feel like he had no idea, but who knows?
Yeah.
Poor man. Yeah, also the breathing, you can hear the psycho breathing, and it's terrifying. Like, under his mask, and I'm like, shut up. Breathe quiet, please.
Okay, but that patch note I sent you, that made me think of that. There was, for those of you who haven't played, there was a patch put out probably like a couple weeks after the game came out, and I was just reading through the notes out of curiosity because I actually got a bug that like wasn't a big bug. Basically, Matt had blood all over his face, and I couldn't figure out why the fuck he had blood all over his face.
Yeah.
So I was reading through the patch notes, and there was a patch note that just said, fixed Ashley's breathing while looking at something, because apparently she's breathing too loud.
She does.
And I just want to know how loud she was breathing for it to be like a genuine problem that people brought this up.
Yeah, they're definitely, because they toned down Josh's breathing as well.
Okay.
I think it's just the way, like, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but it's funny.
No, it wasn't. It was just funny to read that patch note.
Yeah, and then the snow globe being a reference to the Until Dawn, like, VR shooter game, whatever it is. It's like,
okay, so apparently this was also me learning more shit. So first off, I'm stupid. We're gonna preface with that, okay?
Okay.
Did I know that Josh made a bunch of fake stuff to go along with his prank? Yes. Did I realize every single thing was fake? No.
Yeah, he went out. He went out.
But the name that you see on the wanted poster is a real person. He worked as a janitor at the sanatorium, and he's in that game. And in fact,
he is, yes.
Now, there's some debate on this. Josh, as the psycho, wears the same outfit that Victor does. And so it's like a chicken egg situation, which came first.
It is, yeah.
But it's so fascinating.
Yeah, I've always found Josh's outfit that he wears particularly interesting. The mask less so, because I'm just like, I think it's just a prop that his dad probably had. But the overalls is such a choice. And it's such a horror homage to, like, well, I guess to quite a lot of them, but my first instinct was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I think that probably is likely the reference making.
Given the level of gore and everything, yeah.
Well, I think also given the scenario of kind of like home, it's not home intrusion, but entering the home and causing disturbances in the home. But yeah, it's fascinating. All the blueprints you can find and stuff, like on his phone and the death machine plans. It's so like intricately planned out. I also find it funny that he just left it all in the basement. But I'm not one to judge. I think we know he's on medication. I think he is a little bit spicy brained, and I think he probably forgot where he put all his murder plans, and he probably forgot that he left the doors to the lab unlocked. But it's a little bit goofy, my guy.
There's one clue that's not, it's in like the foyer, and it's not there like the first 2 or 3 times you enter it. You can only get it as Sam later on, and then it's there. It's this little card for, I think, the saws,
yeah, it is, yeah.
And it's like, did he just leave this here?
No, he put it there on purpose, because there is an element of him actually planting things on purpose, because he definitely wants.
It's just so funny.
He wants them to piece it together, because obviously it's a YouTube thing. I think that's also important to note here, that like there's an element of this is all being recorded, so there is a few things where I'm like, this is really weirdly placed, but then I'm actually thinking about it, I'm like, no, because he's put this on here on purpose, because he wants them to piece it together. And Sam does. We actually see Sam piece it together.
And she calls it out too, yeah.
Yeah, if you collect the clues, and then when you meet up with Mike, she's like, hey, I think Josh has something to do with this. And it's interesting because the way she talks about it, she's like, oh, I think he is involved with the psycho. Like, she thinks there's a duo. She thinks there's potentially more people, which I think is also interesting because it shows how much intense setup there was to think there are 2 people actually playing simultaneous parts here. Well, she thinks because they think Josh is dead, don't they? So I guess there's an element of like, that she thinks that if something's gone wrong, which is crazy, because I'm like, who the hell was he in canoodles with?
Well, I think she thinks it's the therapist.
She doesn't, I don't think she says, but she's like, something's gone wrong. They were working together and something's gone wrong. I think it also
really shows the level of love that they 100%. Have for Josh, because they could never, in see him doing it, worst nightmare, think that he would be the one causing them this pain.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's it. It's really good storytelling, because you can see the anguish that they come to terms with, because they don't believe him even when he reveals himself. They don't believe him. They're like, hey, like, we need to get you like help. Like, Mike has a very not best approach, saying he's should be put in a straitjacket. I'm like, Mike, I don't think you should be joking about your friend who's mentally ill like this. But I guess you're angry because you think your girlfriend, he killed your girlfriend. I understand that. He has a valid response.
And to be fair, he hasn't seen all of the same clues, so like,
true,
the mentally ill isn't quite clicking for him yet.
No, that's true.
He just thinks that Josh is being...
I am interested to know how much they each individually knew about his mental state, because we get that from diaries and stuff in the twins' room, and then we also know that like Sam is semi-aware and Chris seems to be semi-aware, but the others I don't think know at all, do they? That he's like seeking any level of like mental health treatment or psychiatric treatment until those notes.
I think they know, but I don't think they really know, because even when you read Hannah's diary, even she doesn't like, know. Oh, shit, I didn't realize my brother was going through this. So I think there's an element of something's not right with him, but they don't know the extent of it. I would very much guess, A, because Josh doesn't want to talk about it, but B, given... And this is partially just like me reading way too much into shit, but given the dynamics there seems to be with the Washington family, I feel like it's very much like a hush-hush, we are a perfect 100%. Family vibe.
Yeah. They definitely have, because they've slipped under the rug 100%. Because you get that with the way that you understand that, because even with the way that they in Hannah's diary, and she's talking about the fact that he was like he was boarding at a psychiatric hospital, which is presumably Dr. Hill's office, because you can see outside it definitely seems to be in some sort of ward hospital situation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't the way that she mentioned like their mum dealing with it. It was odd. I was like, it's so sad, man. It's so fucking sad that he it's so fucking it's so sad that he had a psychiatrist who's clearly just like a villain, but also his parents were just ass, and then also the fact that he was misdiagnosed like so many times and was given so many of the wrong things and was exacerbating some things and then making other things like, because they gave him like medication for things that he didn't actually need, for things that he didn't have, and it was making some things worse whilst making some things better. That's why he was getting like hallucinations and shit, and it was like, bruh, no wonder.
One thing I want to jump back to, so you said a therapist who's a villain, but like we don't know that.
He doesn't like him, so there's an element of definitely distaste.
But does that mean
a villain to Josh?
A villain?
No.
Yes.
A villain to Josh.
Yes, but we don't
He's
know.
antagonistic.
We only see the Dr. Hill that Josh gives us. We never see the actual true character. And given how much he seems to not want to confront his mental illness, my guess is he just doesn't want to confront Dr. Hill at all, and that's why he's a villain.
He's villainous to Josh. Yeah, he's antagonistic to him. In Josh's eyes, that's and also valid. I think, and to us the player, but I guess we are him. But yeah, it's interesting because, like you said, like we don't actually know. We have no idea if he was actually
the only glimpse of
good.
The true Dr. Hill we get is those text messages where he's like, "Hey, I'm worried about you. You can't stop taking your meds."
Yeah, but we literally have no idea. And the only other thing is like his diagnostic note, which we know he wasn't diagnosed correctly, but that's not necessarily him being a villain. It's more of him like not knowing, because I guess Josh is not very forthcoming, which honestly valid. But
with mental illness, there's a lot that can coexist, so it can be really hard with like what's presenting.
There definitely is layers.
Schizophrenia is definitely one of the hardest to diagnose, just because like if you have that, you're also anxious, you're also depressed, you might be experiencing bipolar, so like it is hard.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he wasn't in an environment where he could maybe even understand that as well, given everything. Yeah. So it's just like there's a lot cooking, and nothing is cooking good enough in his brain. Yes. His brain is fucked. But his dissolve like into true, I don't want to say madness because I don't like talking about mental health that way, but his dissolve that you see through the chapters is so well done, and it's so scary. It's so scary.
His meltdown that he has in the shed,
it's awful.
Is awful to watch, but also just like, first off, Rami Malek, fantastic actor.
Chef's kiss.
Did so well. And I think it's so interesting to look at that scene as well, because even Mike and Chris are just like not even really acknowledging what is right in front of them, that he is having a full-on breakdown from reality in front of them.
It's just like one of those things where like if you've never been confronted with it, which why would they have been in any of their, like, what do? You think this man
I agree.
Like that's what makes it hard, because you have someone who is very vulnerable, incredibly vulnerable, but on the flip side you have these people, and like, okay, Chris less so is thinking, Chris obviously feels an element of betrayal, but Mike is still fairly concerned that, like, fairly convinced that he killed Jessica. Even though Chris is more on the fence, depending on how you play it. So it's like you have a very vulnerable person, and then but also like a very unstable person, and it's like something has to give. What is being like? And it's tough. It's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. It makes me so sad. It just makes me so sad because I'm like, oh,
it does.
My God. Like, obviously, I'm not like. There's no element of defending what he did, but there's like, it's just like so many things could have been so different if the right actions were taken, and they were not, and he was failed by so many people, and it's so sad. And he failed himself in an element as well, but it makes me emosh. Also, can we just talk about the fact that Mike grabs Sam's leg without saying anything? I'm like, bitch, make yourself known. What are you grabbing her leg for? For a grate? I was like, that's disgusting.
Also, I just want to put this out there. A lot of people ship Mike and Sam. I do not. They give me the biggest sibling energy I've ever seen in my life.
I understand, like, there's a few lines. No, I think I see them being besties. I like them. I like them as friends. And I'm like, listen, I like Mike. Sam's too good for him. I'm sorry I said it, but
100%.
Sam's too good for anyone, but that's just my opinion.
I do. Yeah. I like Sam and Josh together because I like Pain, but
that just hurts. That just hurts. I also like Sam with like Hannah, or Sam with like like, I feel like that's cute. I like that. It's good vibes. Also, Emily getting a rock to the shin. I would have jumped off that edge of that mine shaft I landed on and just died at that point. A rock to the shin.
And it was like flaming.
Yeah, I was like, bro, broken leg, and she's like, she's such an icon. She's such an icon in the mine scene.
Like we should have avoided that.
She was fucked. She was just like sat there for so long. I'm like, girl, move.
I know.
The tower's coming down. Yeah, she ripped her shirt up. Honestly, she was another level. The core strength she had to swing on that rope as well, bruh.
Yeah.
Drop the
I also love that she's
girly.
Constantly like hyping herself up. She's like, come on, Em, you can do this.
I know, I love that.
Self-confident queen.
I think that's when you kind of like, I love that in the mind is when you truly get more like to her. I like that we do get a big section with her, because you get her like being vulnerable, but then you also just get her being like, no, I got this, like I'm grooving. I'm like, yes girl, pop off.
The thing with Emily though, I'm sorry, what do you mean you're gonna show me a danger totem the exact way I have to walk?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're gonna give me a danger totem of me squeezing through a wall, and then that is my only option, is to squeeze through said wall?
So I've seen some other people mention this, and I'm interested in this. So obviously, the totems, people can pick them up, and sometimes, obviously, I think that they don't actually react at all, which is quite funny.
Yes.
So whatever. I want to know if that is. I want to know if they see something or not. I want to know if they pick it up and it's nothing, and it's purely like diegetic for us, the player. I want to know if there's any element of when they turn it, they actually are connected to it, or are they not? Because I feel like they can't be, but
right,
because they don't react. But I'm also like, who knows? I want to know, like, is it purely mechanic, or does it actually have purpose? Because I also feel like if they just pick them up and they just turn it over because they're like, hey, it's a fucking like totem thing, I'm like, that's completely valid, because me too. I would pick up everything because I'm curious. So I'm interested to know what the vibe is. Like, I want to know what, because there's an element of like surrealism and like, I don't want to say magic, but there's like an element there because obviously it's connecting to the universe. So I want to know what is at play, and is that actually something that is at play, or is it not? If that makes sense. Anyway, but yeah, that totem is so funny because I'm like, bro, what do you mean? I gotta go there.
Yeah,
it's like perfectly placed. You can't miss it as well. I'm like, no.
I know.
How dare you? Yeah, the creatures nasty, disgusting. Hate them. The noises, the running. When we first get a proper look at them, I was appalled because they look so good, and I'm like, this is actually disgusting. Actually disgusting. Why do they make them so HD? Why could they not be shitty graphics still? I don't need them in high quality.
Holistic Moon, I'm going to send you a flower basket for making the don't move so much easier, because I would not have survived chapter 10 with those scary ass creatures if the don't move was the same, because they were all up in your face.
They were so they're disgusting. The way it's also crazy because you can now see them. I think maybe you probably could see them before, but like now you can actually kind of see them more, like just roaming around. There's bits and pieces, like I think when you're playing as Ash, you can kind of see them like walk underneath like the pipes and stuff, and like as Emily, you can kind of see them in the background. Ew, I was so on edge because even though I knew the beats, I was like, what if there's extra bits that I'm now like not ready for?
Right.
Yeah, it was. I wrote slave flame for a man. I'm sure that's when he saves Emily. I also wrote kiss. Why did I write kiss for? Who was I writing kiss about? I'm assuming Ashley and Chris. I'm assuming so, but I don't know if they just wrote kiss and that was it.
Speaking of Ashley and Chris, they changed her revenge scene if you choose to shoot her.
They did.
That's what I saw a spoiler for. If you remember, when I saw a spoiler for something. So I didn't exactly see what it was. All I saw was they made her less of a bitch, and I was like,
yes,
I thought maybe they took the whole thing away, but no, they changed it, and I find it fascinating. I have so many thoughts.
I'm not opposed to the I think the change is more in line with her character traits we see throughout the rest of the game.
Yes,
I'm on the fence whether I think making her more not tame, but I'm on the fence whether I think I like both reactions, and I can't. I think her. The thing is like we mentioned it before, where it's like it's such an interesting dynamic, that decision of do you save her and then do you shoot her? Like obviously, I'm not going to be fucking chuffed if you say you're going to kill me, and then obviously I know Josh dies anyway, but you say you're like oh I'm sorry Ash, and then like whatever. If you shoot me in the head, even if you don't shoot me in the head, I'm pretty pissed. Like I'm sorry, I'm pretty pissed. Like I know the circumstances were pretty bad, but I'm still a bit miffed, right? I think her response is warranted. Like, but I'm also like, I also understand that there wasn't really anything you could do. Like, I think it's hard.
The issue I take with it, and do not get me wrong, I love Ashley. She is my baby. My issue that I take with it is she literally has this whole speech of like, you already saved me once, let me save you, let me do this. And then,
I would have said that. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. You can't give that speech and then have the audacity to get mad if he chooses to shoot you. That's where my issue with it is. If I agree though, like if that speech did not exist and Chris just straight up is like, sorry, I'm sacrificing you in this scenario. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna lock that door. Fuck you, sir.
Yeah.
But like, you can't give that speech and then be mad about it.
I just think as well, like for me personally, I can only speak. I've never been in a situation like this, obviously.
Right. Yes.
But if I was in a situation like this, I'd like to think that if someone in a situation like that where we are, let's say we were in the situation and you had the gun,
God,
and you chose to shoot me and it was a blank, I would be upset. I would be. I wouldn't lie. I'd be like, that is slightly unfortunate. But given the fact that it was me or you, I would eventually get over this. We would have to have discussions, but I would mature and move on. I'd like to think if you were then Chris outside and I saw you in peril, I would still open the door because you didn't actually kill me. You did have intent there, but I think we could potentially work past this given we're in a traumatic situation. The fact I would not stand at the door and let you get decapitated. I'd like to think...
I appreciate that.
I'd like to think I'm a bigger person than that in the situation. I know tensions are high, but I'm like, I think I can open a door. Yeah, it's funny. It's a really interesting scenario because it's really like how do you react to how do you react to peril? And clearly Ashley does not react to that kind of situation, which is really funny to be fair. Yeah, I do like that she's a little bit more like, I guess, remorseful. She's like, oh, I couldn't have done anything. I'm like, but she could have, but okay. I know you maybe don't want to invite it into the lodge. I get that, but you were a bit slow, so. It's the way that Mike is like, what shame, guess we gotta go. I'm like, bro!
So unserious.
He doesn't even look. He's like, she's just like sad, and he's like, Ash, we gotta go. And I'm like, bro, she just watched someone get decapitated. I don't think she's okay. Yeah. Even if she caused it inadvertently. It's funny. It's funny. The slap, crazy. I never get over the slap. I think it's so funny.
Hold on, first off, before we get to the slap.
Yeah.
One of probably my favorite lines is, this is the safe room.
Yes, I love that. Because speaking of that, because I skipped this line, so this is the safe room, I wrote down, you can't sit with us, because it literally gives me that energy. You can't sit with us. It's so funny. He saw Mean Girls and he ate that quote, and he changed it and he used it.
Honestly, like, I know he has been through a lot already, but he was too quick to pull that gun.
I'm sorry, you do not shoot someone in the head. What you do in that situation is you say, this is a safe room. We are concerned about you and what is going to happen. I know Emily's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, don't put me out there alone. I am trying to find something to restrain her with, minimum at first. And then I'm saying, if there is any opportunity that you become unwell, it's over for you, queen. We'll give you the opportunity to do it yourself, or I'm going to incapacitate you. I am not taking my chances. It's just the way it is. No hard feelings. I'm not taking the risk. I'm not saying I'm going to put a bullet in your eye socket. That is not the solution to the problem. It never has been, and it never will be.
No.
It's the way that Sam and Ashley are just like, I would not feel safe around him anymore. If you did that, I would not feel safe. I would feel scared. I would feel so scared.
I did go this route. I did shoot Emily at one point because, again, killing everyone, doing an asshole run. It's the way Emily and Sam continue to have a conversation. Sam and Ashley continue to have a conversation while Emily's body is just sitting on the table with her eye socket blown. Like, they are so unfazed.
It is horrifying. It is horrifying. I think what's also, like, worse about this, I guess not. I can understand that you wouldn't go through his stuff. Personally, like, the flamethrower ban is out. You're in this basement area. I'm kind of rifling through his shit straight away. I know they do it post-fight. I'm kind of having a nosy beforehand. That could have all been solved if they read the book earlier. But hey-ho.
Here's the other thing. I'm parking my ass, and I'm staying there until dawn.
Oh, yeah,
We've got a gun.
We're locked in a room.
We're locked in a room. We're safe. We're good. I also feel like Chris did not offer up any helpful additional information.
Man was having a panic attack. He was having a panic attack. I know,
but you learned some vital information.
No, I know. I agree. I agree.
Tell them that, and we can park our asses and stay here until dawn. We literally know help is coming.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, is the communication between them all is very poor. Because even at this point, Mike kind of knows the situation at hand. Yes. He's aware to some extent. Obviously not fully, but he's pieced a lot together. Does not pass this on at all. They do have a conversation, I think, later on. There's like a little bit of like whatever, don't move, or like they're strong. There's some sort of exchange. But yeah, I'm like, bro, I know you're traumatized, man's just died, but I'm also there. Like, as soon as they're going through that little journal when she's like, oh, the bite isn't infectious and blah, 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 I'm saying, we know fire works, right? We'd grab some fucking candles, I don't know. And then we hunker down, and I know we need to find this bloody key, but at this point, we just pray that the radio tower man is coming. And if they don't come by dawn, I guess we don't know when dawn is, but if they don't come by dawn, then we take a venture out, because we know that they hunt at night. And guess what? It's fucking nighttime. So
honestly,
at least that opens up the outside. I know you have to go into the sanatorium where they're hanging out and they don't understand the concept of day and night inside probably, but you know, it eliminates a little bit at least.
But just like the way there's so much of this plot would be different if anyone had a morsel of common sense.
No common sense, just vibes. Just no common sense, just vibes. The only person who had common sense was the Flamethrower Man, and he fucking died, so
yeah.
There was only one brain cell on Blackwood Mountains, and it belonged to him. And it was not pinging to anyone else.
I just read my notes and I have no idea what this was about.
Wait, what does it say?
It just says, Michael, darling, I feel you're not taking this seriously enough and it's upsetting me.
I have no idea what that's about.
This is in chapter 9. And it's during, so in the sanatorium, him going through the sanatorium. I don't know what he was doing that was upsetting me, but there was clearly something.
How funny. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but when you get more information throughout the game, the clues update given the information that you are aware. And I thought that was really neat, because there's information that you get, and it's like...
That's how I learned Josh did everything.
Yeah, because it says, doesn't it? It says, like, Josh, yeah. I thought that was so neat, that you can go back and kind of, when you kind of progress through the story and you get extra information, it kind of says, like, well, this must have been made by blah, blah, blah. Like, the newspapers were fake.
Yeah. The only thing is, while I do like that, I did not need every clue in the twin line to be like, this matches the tattoo Hannah got.
Yes, I know, there was a lot of that.
And
I'm like, thanks. Yeah, it was the photo, yeah, there's so many of that. I was like, I don't need to know this, but thanks. I get the tattoo's important. I've seen it enough times, but I appreciate you for spelling it out for me. I wrote, bro, I'm so sad the wolves lost their dad. I was actually really upset when I thought about the fact that the wolves didn't have Flamethrower Man anymore. And I was like, how do you tell Wolfie that he lost his dad? And he also lost his brother. I was like, he's had a rough go. And then I'm like, why did you not take that dog home? I'm sorry, if he's like, I don't want to jump down. I don't give a shit, bro. I'm fucking yanking your collar and I'm picking you up and you're coming with me. I'm not leaving you in a sanatorium. You're coming with me. What do you mean?
Okay, speaking of Wolfie, I love that he is still with you, even though you do not see him, like, 3/4 of the time.
He runs ahead, apparently. And I'm like, I don't think he fucking does, but okay.
You literally never see it. He just fucking teleports. And
no, he does. He vibes.
Like, when you barricade the door, and I was like, where the fuck did he go? And then he's just there. And I'm like...
Yeah, apparently he runs ahead. I take precedence with that. Do I care? No. But it's funny that this dog is... I like to think he's a magical dog. That's my personal opinion. I think he's a teleporting dog.
Maybe.
Listen, if I'm Michael Monroe, at that point, I'm not jumping down and waiting for the dog to follow me. I'm picking up that dog and I'm taking it with me. You have a fucking wolf and you're leaving it in a building like that? No, I am not. Come with me.
I saw a TikTok where it was like what I think happened to all of the characters after like the events of the game, and someone was like, Mike adopted that dog. He fought with the state of California to adopt that wolf.
If he did not go back, if he did not tell that police, if he did not say at the end of those police interviews, I need to go back for that fucking dog, I'm having beef with him. You're not leaving that dog in that sanatorium, Betty. He has no dad now. You have to become his dad.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's the way it is.
You are now a father. Congratulations.
You are now a father. Congratulations, you are a dad. Also, the figurine you can find inside the sanatorium looks like the Psycho, which obviously is in reference to Victor and the janitor, but exactly the same, which I thought was neat as well. I was very stressed that I didn't save Wolfie. I did, and I was so pleased with myself.
Yes, same.
And then you obviously set it on fire, so I'm like to think that he didn't get cooked to pieces. I hope that he was outside when the building was on fire, but I guess we'll never know.
Listen, the achievement told me that I kept him alive, so I'm going to sleep with the knowledge that he is alive.
I would like to think that he just kind of was chilling in the graveyard. I don't think he got cooked alive. Personally, I like to think that he was chilling, but we'll never know. But he's fine. He's fine. Jess is really upset that they have a wolf in their apartment, but he's there.
Yes.
Yeah, Jessica, she's absolutely fucked. Absolutely fucked.
When I played as Jess and Matt, did not realize what the QTE was, and Jess fucking clocked Matt with that shovel or whatever.
Same,
it was
same,
so
yeah.
fucking funny.
I pressed the wrong button because I think before I was so used to, because I gathered quite quickly that the buttons for
it's a pattern.
Yes, it's a pattern, and also like jumping is always like B or whatever. I don't know. I kind of clocked it, and I was like ready to react, and then it was like X instead of Y, and I fucking ate shit, and I was like, lol. And I was stressed because I was like, what if the shovel's important? The shovel's not important, they leave it behind anyway. But I was like, oh my god, what if that's defense weapon? And I've just fucked myself.
I was worried that like this was going to make Matt not be able to take care of Jessica. Like I thought he was going to be so disoriented that he wasn't going to be able to like, because he has to catch her at one point when they're hiding. Yeah. And I thought he wasn't going to be able to do this. I was like, oh my god, did I just like fuck this? No, it's just really funny.
I thought the shovel, like Jess was going to keep the shovel, so like if as a fail safe, like the flare, I was stressed. That sequence wasn't as bad. It feels like yeah, I pre-stressed myself for something. Yeah, same. I think it's just because it's high stakes, but it's literally not that bad.
I literally have, that wasn't too bad, and they're safe.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You just got to make the right decision and then basically do the don't move. It's actually not too bad at all, but I think it's just it's high stakes because you can obviously, like, if you make the wrong decision, they both will probably get KO'd, which is a shame, but, you know. Also, I said here, why, like, so when Ash is like, oh, I'm going to close the lid, and they're like, hurry up. No, not hurry up. We'll stand and wait for you. What do you mean, hurry up? What do you mean? Also, why did it take us so long to close? How fast are they? They were gone, mate. They flew.
The other thing that kills me is Chris on his bad leg somehow makes it faster.
She was either so slow or they were going Usain Bolt speeds down those fucking mines, mate. It was crazy.
No idea.
It was crazy.
No idea.
I was like, if I'm Ash, I'm not like, I'm saying, can you wait for me, please? At least one person. Why are you all going? Well, you said don't split up and then you're splitting up.
Honestly.
My first note of chapter 10 was ooh, 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 ooh in all caps. So that's how that was.
My first note of chapter 10 is, hey, Dr. Hill.
My notes here are just all capitals, and I wrote not again ? What was that in reference to? Not again. Someone said not again, and I was like, what does that mean? And I can't remember who it was now. It was Josh. It was Josh in his when he's getting the hallucinations. He says not again when they start singing the song, and I'm like, so this has happened before.
I'm never going to hear that song the same.
Yeah, so it's happened before, which I was like, what was I referencing?
Yeah. No, that scene was already creepy, but the updated graphics, oh my god.
When she rips her face off, I was like, I genuinely am not going to sleep for a day, but thanks. Yeah, the water, disgusting. I hate it. I hate that whole chapter 10 is just, I have so much hate because I have so much anxiety in my body that I'm just unwell.
I, at this point, was not worried about Sam dying from a creature. I'm worried about her getting hypothermia.
Girl, yeah. She's very thermal, though. I like
frozen lake. She still went through a frozen lake outside.
You know what I'm more concerned about? Their toes. I feel like their toes all fell off. Like how like their feet from running and then also from being in that water. Disgusting.
Especially Sam's only wearing like sneakers. And also wet, and she's running
also when she was in the tower, she was like walking on the basement floor with fucking bare feet, bro. You better get your tetanus shot.
Her nails, though. Did you see her nails?
I love that she has a matching set with her toes and fingers.
Her toenails were freaky as hell looking.
Why has she got such long toenails? I kind of hate it. I wasn't even gonna I don't know. Yeah, crazy. The hunger totem that we see with Josh, bananas, literally went feral. Literally was like,
yes,
yeah, crazy.
Emily pushing Ashley.
Yeah,
I love that part. She has no reason for that other than to be petty as hell.
No, it's the thing. Like, I like that there are like, because there are some things where it's like obviously like butterfly effect, but there are things like that where it's like there are like these are still the consequences of these actions, and I like that we get. She
literally waits for her.
Oh yeah, it's so funny,
and then pushes her.
Honestly, valid. Would I do that? No, but valid. Yeah. So this is where my notes get crazy because of my first playthrough by the power of Christ compelling me into some bizarre shit, I managed to get the hard ending first try. And I have no idea how I did this. And if you know, you'll know. We'll discuss it. I
don't know how you did
I don't know. When I had no idea.
Follow a guide, and I was still stressed.
People were saying like, this is really hard. I'm following the guides. The information's still wrong. I did it first try. Fuck knows how. No idea. Right? No absolute idea what I was doing. So obviously we get the showdown. I was stressed. We're all done. I'm like, the interviews look so good. I'm like, okay, amazing. And then I say like an extra bit because I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. Like what is this? And I wrote, Josh, sad face, sad face, sad face. And then I went, holy fucking shit, he's okay, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, holy shit, spamming the keyboard. What does this mean? What is that? How does that? Who was that, Josh? It was that voice. And then I just spam nonsense. And then I go, and then I'm like, Josh, was that Josh? Or was it Dr. Hill? Who was that? And and it's just nonsense. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I literally lose my mind. I'm like,
yes, that, excuse me, that little like epilogue.
Oh, so good.
We get.
So good.
Listen, Moon. If you are making any sort of sequel, additional content, I'm on my knees.
I literally...
I'm ready. If you don't make it, it's okay. I still love you. But, like, also, please.
Listen, like,
please.
They've set it up.
Can I be in it?
Yeah, I'm there. Kill me off straight away. I don't care.
I don't even need to speak.
Yeah. Just, the epilogue perfectly sets up the opportunity for a story with Sam as at minimum, but definitely feels like potentially a Sam and Josh storyline.
Mm-hmm.
The voice, people say that it's Dr. Hill, which I think would be interesting if true.
That's who it was.
I thought so as well. Some people say it's Josh. I personally don't think it's Josh's voice. I think it is Peter. I think it is Peter Stormare. I think it's interesting. I wonder what that means. It's interesting. Where is she? Is she in an apartment? We know she is, like, because she says, I'll be there. There's an alarm set. Is she in a ward? Like, what is happening? What is her situations? Obviously looking up lore of
creatures,
taking medicine, the scar on her arm, bleeding, some fucking spooky ass shit going on there. Kind of looks like it's in the shape of a J, and I'm like, J for Josh, or just like a weird, like a hook shit. There is so much potential there, and I'm so interested to know what they do with it, if they choose to do anything with it. I'm happy if they leave it at that. I think it still ends neatly with bows tied up without them needing to do... I don't think they would do a full sequel. I think it'll kind of, not like be a DLC, but I think it'll be like a small spin-off game kind of thing. But I also need in my life. I also need it in my life.
I feel like they are, at the very least, gauging interest.
Yeah, 100%.
Because why put that there without having something cooking?
I think it's also interesting that, because when the discussions of this game first arose and we were told that we were getting a remaster. If you're remaster and remake, two very different things. People use them interchangeably, not the same. A remaster is new graphics, new quality of life, new gameplay things. So things probably slightly change, but this is a remake. It is a remake because there have been elements to this gameplay that have been changed. And when that word was first thrown around, I was like, what is happening? I did not ever anticipate that they were going to add a fucking epilogue like that. I did not anticipate they were going to change an ending. Not even change an ending, add an ending. Add an ending, add paths, add choices that make an impact drastically into the way that the game is played. It is... I'm so fascinated by that decision. Because I know a lot of people were like, oh, I wish there was a way to save Josh. But I also think it aligned with the story that there wasn't a way to save him. It's a cycle of failures from everyone. The friend group continually fails. That's what happens. The cycle repeats. It continues. We finally are now trying to close that cycle, so it's coming round into now a neat bow, hopefully. So I'm really interested to see what it'll be like. And I definitely think that game will be more... I think it'll be more story, slow-paced than potentially Until Dawn was. I think it'll be more like going through an actual, like, journey with Sam, and maybe we'll get flashback moments of more, like, in-depth, but I think it's probably going to be more, like, exploring through Dr. Hill sessions as well, like, how she deals with it. Does she deal with it in a healthy way? Does she deal with it in a non-healthy way? What are the impacts on everyone else? Does the cycle repeat? Does she decide that she needs revenge? Like, I wonder, like, that I feel like this, does she go back? Like, there's so many elements to it. And I'm very, very excited if they choose to do something. Because I think it's fascinating. It was such a small epilogue, but it was so impactful. I was losing my mind.
Yes.
I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
I literally
it's also... It's very interesting if you look at it from the lens of the new ending with Josh, or the ending where he becomes a creature, because either way she is doing this research. And so it's like, is she doing it for Hannah?
Do you get that
for Josh?
Do you get that epilogue ending with the saving Josh and Josh not dying, basically?
You get it as long as Sam's alive.
Really?
Yeah, because I got it. My first playthrough.
Because I heard... Oh, no. Yes, you are right. Yes, you are right. You need Sam alive. Yes, you are right. Yeah, that is interesting. So I wonder what they'll choose as the canon ending then.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's interesting to look at it from both lenses. Because it could be she's just researching to know more, to understand, to try and face her trauma. Does she want to try and save Josh? Does she want to try and save Hannah? Like, does she think this is reversible?
I wonder if it'll be kind of like Life is Strange, where there'll be an element of... I don't know how they would do that, though. I feel like it would drastically impact the game, depending on... Like, you know, in Life is Strange 2, when you can say that if you chose to save the Bay or chose to save Chloe...
Yeah, Bay or Bay.
It doesn't have that... Like, it does have story impact, but, like, not massively. I wonder if they'll do something like that, where it's like, what was your ending? But then I guess it doesn't work, because that does actually kind of massively impact the way that you would... Like, it would massively impact her motivations. Because they would have to choose a canon ending, I think. And the canon ending surely would be they will survive.
Yeah.
And they can close it off. I don't know. It's fascinating. It's really, really interesting. And also, as well, speaking of things that are fucking interesting and really mess with the story, and also make Dr. Hill potentially a villain, potentially just a weird-ass man. I don't even know what's going on here. But there's an achievement that you can get where if you replay the prologue in a chapter select and you choose a different decision, whether letting go or dropping, it impacts the dialogue that Dr. Hill gives. And he mentions changing the past. And he's like, you can't change the past if you do that, if you go back and change. And that has crazy implications story-wise. Because I'm like, how does that, because obviously on a very surface level, it's like, okay, he can't change the past. Josh is probably like, I wish I could have done something. He's like, you can't fucking change the past, bro. Like, it's happened. But it's crazy that it happens in response to that action. And I'm like, it really plays with this idea that Dr. Hill is truly in, like, Josh's psyche. Like, there is some part of him that is part of his brain space through other things we see. And it is fucked, because the implications are that he, like, kind of, as Josh says that he had, like, because Dr. Hill says that Josh has built this world around you, like, you will believe in the world I've created for you. There's a lot of reference to building the world I've created for you. And I'm really hoping this isn't some weird dream theory thing, because I'll lose my brain. I'm sure it's not. But I'm like, what does this mean? What does that mean? It's so chilling the way he leans over the desk and he's like, you can't change the past. I was like, and like,
ew. He even says, he's like, I already told you.
Yes. Like, so it's happening. This is a constant thing. Like, yeah, it's interesting in that weird way. But I think also what's interesting, and I saw someone else mention this, so I'm not going to take credit, and I don't know their name, and I apologise for this, but I saw it briefly, and I didn't read the full thread on Reddit, but I saw it, and I thought it was an interesting thing to point out. Someone said that when you think about the game, and it was in reference to, like, all the achievements and stuff, when you think about the game, it feels like, I know there's an element of, like, is Dr. Hill a real person? Or is he in Josh's head? That has two different implications. If it's in Josh's head, Josh is talking to himself and doing these sessions after the instance of the game. If you think he's a real person, and obviously the fabrication of his office is, like, not real, I think that is, like, it shows other things. If he's an actual real entity here, and we have to believe that what he is saying to Josh is real instances that are occurring, it implies that Josh is retelling the events of this night after they have happened. Because Dr. Hill is reacting to Josh's telling of him of what had happened. That's how Dr. Hill, because he always responds being like, did you know that this was going to happen? And the way that he prompts things, it feels like there are two different ways you could look at the Dr. Hill in this scenario. He's obviously a real person. We know that.
Right.
Are the sessions actually real? Are they actually happening in canon somewhere? Or are they pure fabrications in Josh's mind? Is it a way to, is it him talking to himself? Or is it genuinely a person there? Because I think that has two drastic impacts on the way that it plays out as well. Because I'm like, is Josh, because then the whole, like, I'm sorry thing, I'm like, he's actually coming to terms with it himself? Or is he actually, like, into terms with it post events? Like, I feel like very two different readings there. And I was like, oh shit, man, like, it does have more craziness to it. It's weird. It's weird. And there's so much to say. And I have so many thoughts and feelings. And Ballistic Moon, you did such a good job. And I'm so happy. I'm so proud. I'm so pleased. Thank you for delivering this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being brilliant with the patches. And obviously there's going to be teething problems with games, but very prompt to fix things. And yeah, what an experience. What an experience.
Ballistic Moon, we are your biggest fans.
I'm so impressed. And I hope this opens the door for them to do more things, especially more remasters, remakes, because I think they did a fantastic job. A brilliant, brilliant job. Not easy to do that. And they elevated it in ways that I didn't even think of and didn't even need before, and they did it. So credit where credit is due, because they smashed it. So hopefully they'll take on more IP. Cough, cough, if you want to take on the other Dark Anthology games when they get a little bit older and remaster them, I would love that. Kidding, unless. Give me a House of Ashes remaster in like 5 years, please, and I will be yours forever.
Okay, hold on. If we're addressing Ballistic Moon, if you are going to give us a House of Ashes remake, let there be a throuple.
Let there be a throuple, please. Oh my god, please.
Let there be a throuple. Let it be an option. Okay? She has two hands.
Or as a minimum, if you're not going to let them be a throuple and you want Rachel to be her own independent woman, let them be gay. Let Eric and Nick find love with each other. Let them have their enemies to lovers arc. Please and thank you. Yeah, but I agree.
Yes, Rachel has two hands.
They can actually be a triangle because they all have two hands. Eric only has one leg, but he does have two hands. So it still works. They can still be cute together as a triangle, and it'll be gorgeous.
That was the most out-of-pocket thing you've ever said.
I'm sorry, Eric. I love you, really.
Oh my god,
Eric, I love you. This is listen. He slays. We love him. Do I think his car accident was a little bit goofy? Yeah, but he still has two hands. Let him have two peoples. Yeah, please. Thank you. That's all I asked for. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think we should probably let this end. We've been talking for almost 2 hours.
It's too long. Too long of a yap session. There's just so much to say, and I'm just
so much.
It's because we haven't talked about it at all. That's why we purposely did not really discuss anything, so we could all kind of like let it go here. So it's like we're just reacting live.
You're welcome.
You're welcome for this unhinged nature. I'm sure it was brilliant.
Coming soon is that Iconic Lines one, and also Stardew Valley, because we are both deep in the Stardew Valley 1.6 brain rot. It's bad. In fact, my husband today, when he knew we were recording, he's like, "What are you talking about today? Stardew Valley?" And I was like, "Actually, Until Dawn." And he's like, "Oh, so Stardew Valley's next?" And I was like, "Probably."
Actually, the other thing we're also obsessed with. Funny that that is true. It is happening. Also, to round off the episode, if you're watching the VOD, the video, I have a surprise for everyone. I have an Until Dawn tattoo. It is there. It is dominoes with a little butterfly on, and it's gorgeous. It's been cooking for a while, the idea, and then I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to get one in celebration of this episode. Clearly, it was totally planned.
Yes. But you also got a Stardew Valley one, but you'll have to save that one until the episode.
I'll put a spoiler warning over that one.
Just blur it like it's like something that needs to be
censored. I showed it, but I'm gonna put a little blur over it. Yeah. You didn't see it. Yeah, I did also get a Stardew Valley one, but no, I didn't. What do you mean? I only got one tattoo.
No, I didn't.
That's crazy. I have to make sure I didn't accidentally show it when I was putting my arms up. I don't think I did. Yeah. So that's it.
This has been great.
Yeah, it has been.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. To stay connected with us, then follow us on social media, which are linked in the description. I've been Emily.
And I've been Scar.
Tune in next time for the best cottagecore podcast for the cottage whores.